maybe you could address, David, for a few moments, the safety of visiting Israel today and why it would be a great thing, if at all possible, for people listening to try to take a trip to Israel someday.
Israel, no doubt, is an amazing place.
Yes.
And I just came back, as you said, and I think every time I go, I'm struck by it again. It is so similar to the United States.
Yeah.
Our spiritual roots are so common.
Yeah.
We just brought the Dead Sea Scrolls to the California Science Center. We'll be here for half a year.
Oh.
And the Dead Sea Scrolls were written 2,000 years ago, around the time of Christ. And you realize that it was the same community. Yeah. Christianity and modern Judaism came out of the same tree, the same time, the same scriptures. So we have that commonality that I think any Christian tourist that comes to Israel, any person of faith, will be immediately struck by that.
Yeah.
It is just like, America and Israel are two democracies that were formed by people that were fleeing religious persecution.
That's true.
You have your story, we have ours, but it's the same story. And the founding fathers of this country understood that. And they spoke Hebrew, and they named cities here in the United States in Hebrew. And Abraham Lincoln's dream was to visit Jerusalem, and George Washington wrote the letters to the Jewish community. And everyone saw it as the same struggle, so that our spiritual roots are the same. The spiritual DNA is the same. And I think that's something that we have to remind ourselves of. And people understand that when they come to Israel. Israel is safe, and despite the Middle East that is going to go through decades, if not centuries, of transformations, unfortunately, because of those societies, Israel's society, over 8 million people, strong, dynamic. We just saw the elections yesterday. A 72% turnout, voter turnout is wonderful. Much higher than the United States,
much
higher than most Western countries. It just shows you what a strong democracy it is. We know how to defend ourselves. One of the other things that we share with the United States is a culture of dynamism, of debate, of freedom, of creating technologies. Israel today is at the forefront of security technologies, cybersecurity, defending everything that is out there, from physical to computers, ideas, creations to solve the problem of water and desert and droughts. It is so relevant to California and the Southwest here in the United States. All of these things that is happening in Israel, more startups per capita. Warren Buffett making a $6 billion investment in Israel, his first overseas investment. Microsoft, Facebook, Google, they're all there, and they're all looking for new companies because of the engineers and the creativity. It's a beautiful country. It's a biblical country. It's a democracy. You won't find anything like it outside of the United States. The twinning of the Bible and the political culture that is the same as America. There's no other case like it in the world. So I think it's going to be deeply moving for anyone who goes. And in terms of security, look, all I can tell you is I'm a dad. I have 3 kids. I don't think twice about taking them to Israel with me.
Yeah, when we've gone over, I've had Israeli guides that have led our tours thank me for bringing my grandchildren. And I do take my grandchildren over, and we have a great time. And I feel they're totally safe there, and I want them to enjoy Israel as young children. And my 2 older sons, one of my sons is in heaven. The other one is with me today, but they have those memories of as young boys, in Israel and on our tours. And I just think that's such a wonderful thing to instill in a child's life. So if at all possible, a person ought to make the trip over.